My name's Bill Tennyson, and before the war, I suppose I was luckier than most. I had a wife and child, a home of my own and a good job. I worked at a factory, and I earned enough to be buying one of the cars I helped to make there. At my firm's place, they were bringing a new car off the assembly line every few minutes in peacetime. I was pretty proud of that. I reckoned it was the right idea, making it easy for people to travel and get to know each other better by offering them a car at a price getting nearer the little man's pocket. New ideas and improvements kept being put into the factory so that we could turn out a better job for the public at less money and with less effort. For instance, most of the big parts were lifted into place by machinery. So although we were doing heavy work, British engineering and the management had made it lighter. Seems funny to look back on those days when we thought that turning out more and more good, low-priced cars was the most important thing in the world. I remember I often used to look at those assembly lines, turning out cars with 100, and think to myself that everyone must be travelling about and meeting and learning how the other half lived, and that was a good way of stopping misunderstandings and wars. At midday, we used to knock off for a meal. The canteens all over the premises used to do a pretty good snack, although the missus always used to pack me some sandwiches, which I ate at the canteen with a hot cup of tea or milk. After dinner, I always used to go outside to my favourite spot to read the morning paper and have a chat with whoever was around. And in those last months of what we call peace, there was plenty to talk and worry about, remember?
And that consequently this country is at war with Germany.
Well, when war came, like most of us, my first thought was to get the wife and kid away out of it. But that needed money. Fortunately, I've been earning a good wage, and I've been able to put a bit by. So I sent him away to the wife's sister in the country. I shall never forget that morning I saw them off.
Goodbye. Take care of yourself, darling.
Goodbye. Right soon, dear. That was the first switchover that happened to me. No wife. Then things happened at the factory. They camouflaged it so that if I'd been a sparrow, I wouldn't have recognized it. Every inch of glass was removed from the roof and replaced with steel. Even the cars in the park were covered up so that the glint wouldn't be seen from the air. Then they organized ARP. We formed our own firefighting squads, one of the finest fire-watching systems in the country, and we stored materials for repairing bomb damage. We prepared against gas and had properly trained decontamination squads. In addition, some of us became home guards, guarding the factory day and night. I tell you, you'd think our factory was important. And it is. For inside the factory, we've switched over from peacetime to wartime just as quickly. Although we've been one of the first firms to turn over to the 5-day week, we've given it up for the time being, and willingly, because most of us feel that there's ruddy important work to be done by every man jack of us. The engines we'd fitted into those peacetime cars could run a war. Anyway, they now go into the chassis of army trucks and all sorts of mobile equipment. The axles and other parts that did a good job of work before the war have been found a dozen new uses. No shiny car bodies now, but plenty of practical camouflaged ones. We don't fit the same instruments as we did in peacetime, nor are the gadgets the same. But the boys fit the wartime accessories just as quickly. Out of the factory now roll the chariots of war instead of the carriages of peace. More and more of them. And the ATS and other women units collect them. And that's something I never dreamt I'd see at the works. The boys are rather proud of the way they've switched over from peace to wartime production. Take the manufacture of tractors, for instance. There's a real job we're putting our backs into, and we're doubling and trebling output as fast as we can go. It does your heart good to see them come off the assembly line, when you remember that every one means more food for all of us, and each of them will help to get it quicker. When I look around me in the works these days, I bet most of us don't realize how we've switched over. It's all happened so smoothly. But behind the scenes, it must have given the management a few headaches, I can tell you. To start with, 800 of our men were called up in the conscription of reservists, and others soon became liable to be called up. The firm has had to face up to the problem of getting new workers without interfering with the war effort. New workers are still picked on lines the company proved to be right in peacetime. A personal interview for all, and the staff manager finds out a man's spare time interests, because they often show his character and possibilities better than the job he's been doing. After that, a medical examination. At my place, no man is given a job beyond his strength. It's all part of the policy. A healthy staff is a happy one. My firm's always made a point of not employing women. They said a man should be paid enough to keep a wife and family in comfort. All that's changed now. Temporarily, there's a worthwhile job for women folk at the same basic rate of pay as men. 1,000 women and over 1,000 youths between 14 and 18 are carrying on the good work until the men come back. Women have picked up the work as quick as you like, and they lend a bit of colour and charm to the place. Yes, they're doing a grand job of work, and the management and the men are full of admiration for them. But we don't let them overdo it. They don't work more than 47 hours a week, and they don't work awkward shifts. We can do all that. When our homes and belongings are blitzed, we've made sure of getting money to carry on by organising schemes like the Bomb Damage Fund. Now that a lot of us men have our wives away, we need hot meals at midday. So there's a brand new canteen, in addition to the others, which alone serves 2,000 hot meals a day. One thing hasn't changed, though. I still go outside to my usual spot after dinner to read the paper and have a chinwag with the boys about the news. But after work, there's a difference. Some of us change into our Home Guard uniform, there are 1,000 of us in the Home Guard unit now, and get ready to protect the factory while the late shift settles down to it. We've got to keep the wheels turning, and those who watch and keep on the alert for air raids are helping that as much as the others inside. We're all entitled to go to the shelters when the siren goes. You should see how we run. For Britain's workers, like Britain's factories, have switched over from peace to war to protect the things of peace, such as the wider, cheaper travel and more leisure my factory stood for. And if carrying on with the job and keeping up the output of war materials is going to bring us nearer that next big switchover, the switchover to peace, then watch our smoke.